Let's move to the Duke Blue Devils, a team that you and I are high on this year. I will eat some crow and say last year my preview was very discouraging towards Duke. I did not expect the guys that were returning to step up the way they did. And specifically, I called out the pass rush. I did not know if Duke's front seven was actually going to be able to produce the results that a Manny Diaz led team needs to win. And they put me in my place pretty quickly. 9-4 last year. Malik Murphy came in, did some nice things, turned the ball over a lot, and was a little bit inefficient with that offense, but gets Duke to 9 wins. And now this year, Trey, they've got a quarterback that is much more efficient, that takes care of the football certainly better than Malik Murphy. And they had to go out and spin for him to get Darian Mensah from Tulane. It feels like all vibes up there for the Dukies right now.
Yeah, they spent basketball type money on
Yeah.
Darian Mensah, and they upgraded that room. Like Malik Murphy, like you said, was fine last year. He had some nice moments, turned the ball over a lot, like you said. But Darian Mensah is a potentially great quarterback, potentially coming in right now preseason as maybe the second or third best quarterback in the entire ACC when you stack them all up against each other. So yeah, I'm really high on him. Supporting cast is really interesting to me. They lost Star Thomas. He's going off to Tennessee, but I'm interested in Peyton Jones. This is a guy that was injured for a good chunk of last season, never really got going. I think he was supposed to be a senior season, but he got a medical red shirt to come back. He's healthy now. But that's a guy that led their offense in rushing, led their backs in rushing, I should say. They had Riley Leonard lead the offense in rushing a few years ago, but he's back, very experienced. Jaquez Moore is back as well too.
Mm-hmm.
And the pass catchers, they're going to need Quayshawn Brown and Shamir Hagans to step up, kind of similar to what I was talking about with Pitt, guys that have been in the room but haven't been the guy needing to step up. They also went and got a really interesting addition in Cooper Burkhardt, I think is how you say his last name, from Harvard. Yeah, over 1,000 yards in the slot last year at Harvard. So interesting receiving portal. I like Landon King as a tight end from Utah as well. Also spent time at Auburn. And the offensive line has 4 starters back. And they only allowed 12 sacks all of last year. So this is an offense that I think you can buy some stock in. They really weren't good on offense last year. Like I mentioned, Malik Murphy made some plays and just kind of pulled some magic out of his hat at times. He also forced a lot of balls, like we mentioned, but they couldn't run the ball. They really didn't have a ton that they were working with as far as receivers went. But yeah, it didn't translate to a lot of points. They were winning games with defense more last year. So I think this offense can step up and lead the team this year. And that's going to be something that Duke kind of got a taste of, I guess, under Mike Elko, but it was really more of a defensive-led team then as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they adjust to maybe an offensive-minded team this year.
Yeah, you talk about a fully weaponized Duke offense. If they can run the ball, if they can get Mensah some support to balance out that attack, and then, yeah, they get some wide receivers to step up. Boy, it gets fun in a hurry, man. You mentioned they've got to run the ball better. 127th in the country last year. They were awful at moving the chains on the ground. So that certainly has to improve. But to the point that I led off this segment with, they led the ACC in sacks, forced fumbles, and fumble recoveries last year. This was a defensive line that I was naysaying. I was telling you, sell Duke stock in year one. That, boy, what a terrible miss for my takes department there. Wesley Williams and Vincent Anthony Jr. are both back this year. They combined for over 70 tackles last year from the defensive line, and a third of those were tackles for loss. I mean, just incredible levels of production in the trenches, winning the line of scrimmage. And I think that's got to continue for Duke this year. Secondary, I think, should be a top 50 unit. That would take a little bit of improvement, but guys like Chandler Rivers are back at corner. They've got Terry Moore, who's back at safety. I just like this defense. And, Manny Diaz is in his element, coaching this side of the ball. So I'm kind of all in on Duke, man. I don't know where you net out with their schedule. I'll throw this out there. I've got Duke winning 10 games this year. I think they go 10-2. And maybe that's a spicy take. I don't know. Maybe I'm drinking the Duke Blue Kool-Aid, but I'm all in on the Blue Devils this year.
I love it. I thought I was high on Duke, and I was gonna have to pull you up with me, but
Nope.
no, man, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm not quite to 10-2. Thought I was high on Duke. I guess I'm not.
Fair enough. Losses
One
to
cause for
Georgia
pause.
Tech and Clemson.
Okay, fair enough. One cause for pause. I will say 6-1 in one score games last year.
So
So
that's going to continue.
we think that's going to continue. All right. Well, but you think about it, and they were in so many one score games because their defense was working their tails off,
Yeah.
creating havoc all over the field, and the offense just did nothing with it. They were +8 in turnover margin last year, even though Malik Murphy, I'm trying to find the exact number.
13 picks, is that right?
I think 12. I have 12.
12. Okay.
Yeah, could be off by one. That's
he
totally
was he was 13th or 14th in the conference in passing. That's what it was. So did not really move the needle offensively for them is the point.
Yeah, and they still found a way to be +8 in turnover margin. Some of that was because of SMU giving them 6, but you look at 6-1 in one score games. My point on that was I think that's with an offense that was providing essentially nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you get all these offensive upgrades. You think you're going to be better with Darian Menza. That's going to lead to fewer close games. Can't probably expect winning 6 out of 7, but I don't think they'll be in 7 this year. So yeah, my bold take on Duke before you said they were 10-2, I thought I was going to be bold by saying they're going to start 6-0. I think that Illinois game is really interesting at home. That is a massive game for both of those programs. It's a massive trajectory setting game for both of those programs. They go to Tulane the following week in a Darian Menza revenge game. So we'll see how that works out. If there's a motivation there, that is certainly looking trickier with Jake Retzlaff playing quarterback for Tulane now. But I see no reason why they can't start 6-0. Back-to-back road games against Syracuse and California. NC State's always going to be a tough out in a in-state rivalry game. But if they're starting 6-0, the back half's tougher. But yeah, that run towards 9 or 10 wins is looking way more possible.
I think I've got them losing, like I said, home against Georgia Tech, a Yellow Jackets team that I'm very high on, and then losing to Clemson, who I think is a national title contender, and that's in Death Valley. I don't know that anybody is going to go to Clemson and knock off Dabo's squad, but yeah, I'm with you on 6-0. No doubt about it. Is the Darian Menza game against Tulane, is that a revenge game, or is that I'm with someone younger and richer and better looking than you? Because that's what that feels like to me.
Revenge games can mean so much, you know.
I think it's a revenge game for Tulane.
I think it's a revenge game for Tulane. Yeah, exactly. It's a revenge spot for Tulane, playing against a guy that thought that he was too good for you, essentially, and that he's in a better spot. But yeah, revenge spot for Tulane, essentially, and going to New Orleans will be difficult. That'll be a fired up crowd as well. I'm sure they'll give Menza hell that whole entire game.
I'm sure. Listen, you spend you spend a summer posting pictures at Lake Como with your new boo. Going back and seeing your ex is probably going to be a little bit awkward, but
it's going back to the homecoming game the following year after you left your girl and both went to separate colleges or something like that, and you both end up at the homecoming game, and it's just awkward because you brought your new girlfriend from the big city, and it's an awkward situation.
Oh gosh, that's gonna be fun. September 13th, if you want to tune in, Duke at Tulane should be a fun one. I'm with you on the Illinois game as well. I don't think enough people around the country are highlighting that game. You watch every single preview show in week 2. We'll go, oh yeah, Duke's hosting Illinois. That's fun. Like throw that on your TV screen. But you heard it here in July. And honestly, a couple months ago when we were talking about the road trip that we planned, we talked about Duke and Illinois. So you've been hearing about that game for a couple of months here on this show. Just another reason. Tune in on a week-to-week basis.